Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 35 of License to Carranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Gekisou Sentai Carranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well, man. Just enjoying some unseasonably warm weather. I feel like this fall can't make up where it wants to go, because it was like unseasonably cold 3 weeks ago, but now it's like late December and it's still like in the late 40s. Late 40s? Sure. The high 40s? And that's weird to me.
It got up to the low 50s, or I'm sorry, the early 50s over by me today.
Yeah, well, I walk to work every day, and so I'm very into, like, this is like a pretty significant portion of my day, like, how cold is it out? Because, like, I always have to go out in it.
I did the opposite today, which is I worked from home, so I left, like, very briefly to run over to the store to grab some lunch, and otherwise I've just pretty much been in my apartment all day.
I feel like your job could probably afford you, like, I don't know all the ins and outs of your job. I feel like your job could afford you a lot more work from home time than it does.
It's actually not bad. They give me, like, the equivalent of 2 full work days per month to work from home.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I can sort of deploy them tactically, you know. You can sort of, like, split them up. So what's really nice is during the winter, you can say, like, oh, it snowed a lot last night. I'm going to work from home this morning while they're plowing, and then I'll be in this afternoon once the roads are clear.
Oh,
and then
I do dig that.
So you can sort of like split it up, so I can do that 4 times in a month.
Yeah, well, see, this is like so like, again, teaching is such a weird job, because there is no element of my job that does not require me to be, like, there and present at all times.
Right. Whereas mine, like, if I have a functioning VPN, I am A-OK pretty much anywhere in the world.
Right, like, I do not have slow days. Like, there is never a day where I go into work where just like, there's just not a lot to do today. Like, that's just, like, because of the nature of it, it just never does that, ever.
Right, sure. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was really lovely to work from home
great.
today. Actually, it's great because I worked from home today. Tomorrow, I'm, like, going on a visit to something in the afternoon, so I'm only going to be in the office during the morning. I'll be there on Wednesday, and then Thursday is Thanksgiving, and then Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be in the office for a total of, like, a day and a half this week.
Oh, man. That sounds like real good stuff.
It's pretty good. I'm very excited about it. I kind of forgot how excited I was about it until we started having this conversation. But speaking of, this is not just a conversation. This is a podcast. We're recording this. We are watching today episode 35 called The Traitorous Signalman. But of course,
I already watched it. It's a real good episode.
It's really good. I'm okay. I am very excited to talk about this. Let's not spend a huge amount of time on these stars.
Yes.
But, of course, as always, Dave, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. Would you like to hear what our first star of the week is?
I would genuinely be delighted, Matt.
Dave, as is our custom, I always keep in the back of my mind ways in which I can be upping my game. This year, of course, I've been also trying to, get into gear? Was that it? Shift into turbo?
I think, yeah, it was. Well, no, it wasn't. It was Shift into Turbo was the actual name of the show. I think, no, Shift into Turbo might be the name of the Ranger Danger season that they did about Turbo Ranger.
Well, I mean, Shift into Turbo is what the Power Rangers Turbo say when they transform.
Oh, well,
like, that is their henshin call.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it was Get Into Gear this year.
That's right. So, this is actually a little more upping your game and a little less getting into gear. But, well, I guess it's getting some gear. Anyway, I got the new desk. We discussed it last week. This is now week 2 of desk discussion. But I have it now. And I decided that I was going to rearrange my room. And so I was like, okay, gonna, like, you know, it got delivered to my home. I went home on, like, Thursday night. And I knew that it was going to be, like, some assembly required.
Okay, yeah, furniture.
What I didn't realize, I guess, is that it was all assembly required.
Now, okay, now wait. I mean, I'm assuming they didn't just ship you like untreated lumber. Like
No. Like there were like, hardware fittings, and all the slabs of wood were pre-cut and in the right size and quantity. But like I kind of figured, I don't know, the drawers would have been like built and in a separate box. That is not what happened. What happened is,
dang, okay.
like I opened it up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like, because the last time I ordered a piece of furniture from Target, it was a love seat, and you flipped it over and like you screwed the feet into the bottom, and then you were done. This one, I popped the box open, and I'm looking at the instructions, and it says, okay, the instructions for 2 people will take 2 hours.
Whoa!
And I found that to be almost exactly the case, except you had to sort of shift that for it being 1 person. Dave, it took me 4 hours to build this stupid desk.
Holy cats!
Well, it's got 2 drawers. The drawers slide in and out. So I had to like build the drawers and build the box that the drawers slide in and out of, and then attach it to the top, or the desktop, and then attach the legs on the bottom.
Yeah,
and
no. Like it makes sense to me. Now listen, I've never built a full desk. I can tell you with a fair degree of certainty that is a lot less time than it would have taken you to just build a desk.
Well, sure, that's true. And this is a much better job than I would have been able to slap together myself. But I really like it. I've got a picture. Maybe I'll put it up in the Twitter feed. Like I've got it's got sort of like a mid-century modern vibe.
Well, that's kind of your whole aesthetic.
It is an aesthetic to which I have been leaning of late.
Listen, dude, mid-century modern. Listen, if you're listening to this discussion and you are 26 or below and you are not in college for this thing, I recognize that this discussion sounds astonishingly boring. I apologize. However, if you were like 30, there's like an interstitial period where you could go either way. If you were like 32 to 33 or above, I want to promise you this is gold content, because you're going to get to this stage and you should, you will. I didn't say you should. You just will. You will start to develop an aesthetic. And mid-century modern's a good one.
Well, there's a lot that I like about it, Dave. It's got nice, clean lines.
It sure does.
And it's also a little, it's a little interesting without being like in your face interesting.
Yeah, the upholstery tends to be like bold but not crazy colors, richly saturated. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So here's one issue that I've realized that is not necessarily ideal to 100% of my life about the mid-century modern aesthetic, Dave, is often a sort of desktop or tabletop will have sort of like a beveled edge, like it'll sort of like cut in underneath.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, here's what I did not understand until, I'm going to say 20 minutes ago. As you were very patiently waiting for me to get my microphone set up, I have, for the last number of years, had my microphone set up. It's
I know where this is going.
Right. It's an arm. It's like an armature thing that I have attached with like a vice grip that was attached to the side of my old desk. Well, my old desk is this very like slab-like sturdy sort of like particle board.
Right, yeah, that's not going to work for a mid-century modern
So I went to put it on, and also, like, it's kind of nice. So I'm like, well, I've also got to, like, put, like, a cloth between the clamp and the table, because if I can put a cloth between the clamp and the table, I'm not going to scuff it. So when I take this thing on and off, I'm not going to be doing damage to the desk.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is, if you put a piece of slippery cloth on a beveled edge and then try to attach a vice grip to it, and then you put the weight of a microphone arm on it, the whole thing just immediately falls off no matter how many times you try to do it. So currently
this is the problem. You should, 2 years ago, Matt, when you started to acquire new furniture, you really should have gone for like a shaker craftsman style.
That
would have given you, you're way too far down the branch of this road. That would have given you that much blockier,
I always choose the wrong tech tree. Every time,
man.
So now the solution that I have right now, because I don't have another like mic stand, so I had to drag my old desk back into my bedroom, set it up next to my new desk, and attach the microphone to that. And when I'm done with it, I'm just going to have to put the whole thing away. So that's what took me a few extra minutes today, Dave. I've got to seriously consider getting like I don't know, you've got sort of like a stand up, like a post stand that doesn't affix to anything. I may end up having to
that's
go
great.
that
No,
way.
it's I do like it. Yeah.
But for today, I'm like ramshackling this thing together. Anyway, Dave, what is our second star of the week?
So our second star of the week, Matt, is I actually also will only be in the office for 2 days today because Thanksgiving break is coming up. I'm very excited about that. And I've got my Thanksgiving prep going because we're hosting Thanksgiving this year, as we often do. There is some stock in my crock pot downstairs.
Ooh,
it's a
very nice,
combo
very nice.
chicken turkey stock. Getting ready to make stuffing and or gravy. We'll see how much stock I get out of it.
I'm assuming that I am on deck for my normal contribution of bringing some wine.
Yeah. That's we didn't even talk about it this year. I did just assume that is what you were going to do. So we so we got that coming up, and I'm very excited about Thanksgiving break. My Thanksgiving break is actually 3 days, which is a little bit unusual, even for teachers.
That is a little unusual.
Well, what it is that so, our time is contracted, like, even though I'm salaried, like my time is contracted hourly, like in a number of different ways. And so we do our student-teacher conference or parent-teacher conferences after school. So, like, I'm there till, like, 9 o'clock. And then there's another thing like curriculum night where, like, parents come and hear about the school. And so when the school, years and years ago, when they switched, because, like, I don't know if you remember when we were kids, parent-teacher conferences were, like, during the day. And so when we switched over to doing them at night, we at the union were like, well, if you want us to be there until 9 o'clock, like, you have to pay us. Like,
right.
That's how that works. Like, we're not just going to do this for funsies. Like, this is our job. And so the school district said, well, we'd really rather not do that. The union said, like,
of course.
Okay, well, we get that, but then we're not going to stay. And they said, well, what if we just, like, instead of paying you for that time, we just kind of, like, gave you an extra day off someplace else. And so that's why we have this 3-day weekend. And boy, howdy, am I ready for it? And I was thinking, and I was pondering this, Matt, because I knew I was going to talk about this, and I knew that you were going to be like, "Shut up, jerk! You have a 3-day weekend."
Well,
as
a
is
5-day
your want.
weekend, right?
Oh, it's 5-day weekend is 3 days off, as is your want. When I talk about vacations, but here's the thing I was thinking about, and I think I finally found a good way to explain it. Here's the deal: the breaks are not for me. I mean, they are. Because, like, I take them, obviously.
Sure.
And I do need them. But the reason that I need them is because I'm dealing with the kids, and the kids are exhausted.
Oh, sure. I remember being in high school.
Yeah. So, like, because, like, and here's the thing. If you're an adult and if you haven't thought about this in a long time, learning is exhausting. Like, learning stuff is exhausting. Like, imagine the last time, or try to remember, like, the last time that you, as an adult, had to learn a brand new thing. Like, a thing that you did not know, kind of at all, and someone needed to teach it to you. And like, what a tiring experience that was. And imagine that doing that for 7 different things every single day. That's what it's like being a teenager, in case you've forgotten. And so the kids need a break. Teenagers, sort of famously unempathetic, are not great at, like, stoically persevering. And so when they get exhausted, like, they don't just bottle that up. They turn that right around on me. And so I now am exhausted. And I'm really looking forward to things. This has been your sort of, like, pedagogical corner. I realized halfway through that there weren't really jokes about this. I'm, like, just super stoked about Thanksgiving break.
Dude, it's gonna be very good. I am super excited for it.
It is. You're coming over, and our friends Bill and Jen are coming over, and then actually some other folks that you do not know, some new friends of ours, are going to be joining us, and they will also be bringing wine. Yeah, it's very fun. What, Matt, is our third Star of the Week?
Dave, third star of the week, this is a short one. These might be short from here on out for the last couple of stars, is that there is a new telephone pole that was recently erected on my street. Recently, wait for it. Recently enough that they have not put any of the telephone pole stuff on it yet.
I actually, as you say it, this is totally aside the point. I actually am a little bit surprised because I was sort of under the impression that anytime they're putting in new stuff, they're trying to bury it now.
Well, I don't think that's possible. Maybe it's just like not possible where I live.
Anyways.
Because there are so many wires that are like above my streets that like, if you can't just bury one of them, I think is the thing. You know, you have to bury them all, and that's not really practical. I'm not an infrastructure guy, but that's sort of what it seems to be. So they put in a new pole, and there's none of the new stuff on it yet. So it's just like a fresh pole they stuck in the ground next to a different pole that they will assumedly be tearing out at some point. But here's the other thing, Dave, is that like a week ago, they cut down one of the trees on my street. So they cut down a tree, and then a week later they put in a telephone pole, which, if you think about it, is basically just a bad dead tree. It's like a joke of a tree, right? like it gets used for stuff, but none of that stuff is on it right now. So it's like a mockery of a tree. So it's like they cut down the tree and then like put that one up as like a warning to the other trees on the street, like, you better shape up or you're going to turn into one of these, like that last guy.
Here's the thing. I feel like as a tree, you very specifically if you don't want to become a telephone pole, you very specifically do not want to shape up. Because a telephone pole is a bad tree in every single vector except one, which is it's the exact right shape.
Right, well, that is true. It also occurred to me that, like, I did not find it ominous that they cut down a tree and then put up a telephone pole myself, but that's only because I have the context for what those things are. Like, if I was a space alien who came to Earth and witnessed that happening, I'd be like, what madness are these people doing? That one was alive, and they replaced it with a dead one. I don't know why any of this is happening. Anyway, that's the third star.
That's pretty wild.
So what is our fourth star of the week?
I don't know, man. Like consumer interactions I had. So I was on Xbox and they were running a deal where you get their ultimate Game Pass thing for like $1 for 3 months, and I was like, cool, I'll do that. There's some games on there. And they want an absurd amount of money for it if you pay for it normally. Like, it's crazy. But for $1 at a crazy promotional price, great.
Sure, why
so
not?
I get Crackdown 3.
That's a franchise I've not thought about in lo these many years.
Well, Matt, guess who else did not really think about it? The developers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. Did you play Crackdown 1?
I played Crackdown 1.
Okay, great. Did you like it?
Loved it.
Great. Then you will also love Crackdown 3, because it is literally the exact same game.
Oh, well, that's,
Yeah, like, Crackdown 3 is effectively DLC for Crackdown 1.
It's
like,
DLC for a game from 10 years ago.
Yeah, like, there is no... I mean, like, I guess the controls are a little bit smoother, and I would say that it looks cooler. I don't know that that's quite true, because Crackdown 1 had a kind of neat cel-shaded vibe going on. Like, I guess it's smoother and something else, but, like, it's the exact same game. Like, the world is maybe a little bit bigger, but you're still, like, you run around and you jump and you find the orbs, and then those jumpy orbs help you jump farther, and then you, like, take out various pieces and parts of the world board, and then when you take out the right parts, you take out a bigger part, and then eventually you conquer the city in the name of justice, I guess. Like, it's the exact same game.
And then you get into a car and it transforms into a better car.
Yeah, but yes. Yeah, it's the same. Like, there are new weapons. That's all. I mean,
the old weapons were pistol, machine gun, and shotgun. Like, what are they really iterating on there?
Oh, well, okay. They have, like, there's a little bit more than that. Like,
I mean, maybe there was a rocket launcher. I don't know.
There's a rocket launcher and a grenade launcher. There's some stuff, but, like, it is comically not innovative.
My understanding about the development of Crackdown 3 is that when they announced Crackdown 3, it was with a bunch of like new fancy features for the Xbox One. And then those Xbox features didn't really happen. And then the game kind of went into a weird like development limbo. And then when it came out
in 2014.
Yeah,
and it came out
like last year. And then when it finally came out, people were like, oh, well, without all the new stuff you were telling us about, this isn't a game.
This is just, I mean, it is. I'm playing it. It's fun. It's just more Crackdown 1. I did really like Crackdown 1. So, like, I'm having a good time.
It's a nice trip down memory lane, I guess.
Yeah, it is precisely that. So here's the other weird thing I experienced. So, there are a number of services online where you can sort of, like, pick and mix different, like, bits and bobs and create your own mini. And then these people have like a super snazzy 3D printer, like one of the really good ones, and they will print the mini that you have designed and send it to you, so you can, you can have a D&D mini that like sort of matches exactly what it is you're going for.
I've heard of services like this in the past.
Yeah, like, I mean, matches exactly within the context of like mixing and matching the pieces that they have, right?
Sure.
So there's one, it's probably the biggest one, it's called Hero Forge, and it's pretty in-depth. I mean, I've never ordered anything from them, so I don't know how good their product is, but like a good nerd, I like to get on their website and sort of mess around with the thing, because it's fun. It's like its own little game.
Yeah.
But it's like very detailed, right? You can change the pose around. They've got like dozens and dozens and dozens of like outfits, and you can pick all sorts of stuff, and they have accessories and all of these things, right? Cool. So then I get an ad. It's cool so far. It's fine. So I get an ad for a new company, and they have sort of kickstarted to get themselves rolling. They're called Eldritch Foundry. And I was just like, Eldritch Foundry? That sounds very cool. And, you see a couple of the models, and I was like, oh, those models look neat. Like, yeah, for sure, man. Like, email me when your thing is up and running, and I, along with everyone else who emailed you, we'll go check out your thing. Neat. So they finally launched. I was like, ooh, cool. And they make a really big deal. They're like, oh, we've put all this work into like the background for the races and our lore about like the world that we've created that our like minis exist in, I guess.
It's like, well, then you have entirely missed the point of what people want from you.
Yeah, it was like they make a really big deal out of it, which is bizarre because all the races they invent. Can you guess what the races they invented are, Matt?
Well, Dave, let me guess. Is there an elf?
Yeah, there sure is.
Did they invent dwarves, Dave?
yeah, pretty much.
Did the geniuses down at the foundry figure out what a gnome might look like?
Yeah, this is seriously like they gave it an unnecessarily not standard name. But then they do put on their stuff. I think they are putting the actual name of the thing that they mean like in parentheses beside it. And then, so I look
Here are
at
the
website.
stone dwellers. Yes, we get it. They're dwarves. Oh, they're short and they've got beards, huh? Okay.
They have made up a new word for it. But it sounds a little bit like dwarf. But, like, not enough.
It's the dwarves.
And so, anyways, and then so I was like, all right, so, like, whatever. So you've done this thing. And so I log on to the website, and it is, like, as a design your own mini thing, it's very bad. Like, it's not nearly as good as Hero Forge, which already existed.
These people have fallen into the same trap that I did, where they went down the wrong tech tree. Like, there's the come up with like crazy ideas side of things, and then the actually make good minis side of things, and they forgot to put any points into make good minis for their make good minis company, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, it's bizarre. They're like you can do, and it says in the ad copy, they're like, you can do all this stuff, and I go on the website and I'm like, I definitely very much cannot. And you have like 4 shirt options that I can choose from, and I don't like any of them. So yeah, it was just like, it was a very bizarre experience interacting with this thing. Anyways, Matt, what is our 5th star of the week?
5th star of the week, this will be another quick one, is that yesterday, I went to there are not jokes about this. This is just a nice thing I did yesterday. There's a buddy of mine who is a bartender who recently, like, he like had some injury and ended up having to have some surgery and go to the hospital. And so yesterday at the bar where he works, like, the people who own the place and like the staff and everyone like got together to throw this raffle where all the where, like, you buy tickets to get, like, just like this sort of swag that bars get from like bar vendors.
Yeah.
Like bar signs and, just like random stuff like that.
Dig it. Maybe some drink coupons.
Yeah.
Right,
People put together, like, other bars in the neighborhood, like, put together gift baskets and stuff. And all the benefits for all that stuff ended up going to the guy. But the fun thing about it was that he was working that night and no one had told him what the raffle was for.
Oh, that's very cool.
So it was a nice moment. It's like I said, no jokes, just that's what I did this weekend star.
Oh man, well no, that's a great Thanksgiving star, man. It's cool.
Yeah, it was lovely. You know what else is lovely, Dave? The Traitorous Signalman. Actually, that's not lovely. He's being horrible this week, and we don't even know why yet. But we will find out together eventually. But first, Dave, we've got to talk about episode 35. So we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll do just that. All right, welcome back. So we have just finished watching episode 35. That's a lie. We watched it beforehand. We always watch it beforehand.
At this stage, we pretty much do.
Well, I got into the habit of saying we've just come back from watching it in the early, like, first 2 seasons of the show where we actually did that.
Well, what we used to do is that you and I would stay on headset and watch the episode together, sort of.
Yeah.
And then after we did this for like ages, and then we realized we're like, why are we? I don't know that there's a ton of benefit to doing it this way. It's really inconvenient.
It was super inconvenient because we realized that if we watched the episode independent of each other, sitting down to do the podcast took an hour. Right? But if we watched it together, we had to, like, and this is also when, like, none of the DVDs were out yet, so we were having to, like, scramble around the internet to find, like, very unreliable streaming sites. And so we'd be, like, going into these streaming sites and trying to find the episode to watch, and it would take us, like, an extra hour, probably all told. And then we stopped doing it, and it's been really nice. But I got into the habit of saying, we've just watched this episode, and I probably will continue to say it forever.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyways, we just got back from watching this episode, and man, would not have been able to tell you this before while we were doing the 5 stars, but it was a great episode.
It was a great episode. It was one kind of great episode, and then at the very end, it turned into a completely different kind of great episode.
Holy cats, did it. Okay. So we're going to get into it. So, well, let's just go. So we start off in Pegasus Motors. And the Rangers are all doing rock, paper, scissors, or Rochambeau, however you want to call it, to see who buys lunch or has to go get lunch. And everybody throws rock, and Kyosuke throws paper. And then they're like, okay, great, you lost. Here's what I want.
And he is saying that this is unfair, and I agree with him, but I don't I know we have looked it up in the past, like how rock, paper, scissors can work differently in Japan than it does in the United States. But, like, I straight up do not understand how rock, like, beats paper in this.
No, okay, here's the thing. I don't think that it does, because he says something, he's like, wait a minute. No, you all threw rock and I threw paper. And they're like, no, that means you lose. And then they'll just sort of walk away.
So they're just abusing their friend.
Yeah, they are just abusing / bamboozling Kyosuke here. And then they say, like, 2 people want salmon and somebody wants a fried chicken. And then Minoru wants a hamburger bento box, which is like, that really flies in the face of... Yeah, that like flies in the face of my concept of a bento box. I didn't know that a bento box could include a hamburger.
I mean, it's just a box, man. You can put whatever you want in there.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Actually, speaking of hamburgers, Matt, they did a big redesign of my Whole Foods, and they moved him around. But you know who I went and saw the other day?
The cheese guy?
No, not the cheese guy. That dude doesn't work there anymore. Nope, went and saw Dave. Dave the hamburger guy.
Dave the hamburger guy, previously mentioned on this program.
Dave
like
the hamburger
3
guy
years ago.
who makes hamburgers so good. Yeah. Went back. He said, hey man, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. I was like, I got kids now. I don't get out to Whole Foods for burgers as much. And he slid me some free French fries and gave me the best burger I've had in probably a calendar year. This man knows his business. Anyways, and then what's his name? Flash Yoda, Dapu. Dapu gets a bento box too.
I mean,
so we go from there.
Dave, Yoda is also a flesh Yoda.
Well, yeah, but he's not like...
Yoda is not covered with chitinous material.
Okay, that's...
Skeleton
that's fair.
Yoda. Skeleton Yoda would be terrible.
It could be. Or it could be really cute. I bet Skeleton Yoda looks a lot like skeletal Calvin and Hobbes. Like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, maybe.
So anyways, we go from there to
speaking of Yoda, I have for the last 2 weeks been like, every week there's the struggle to come up with what the new 5 stars is going to be.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks I've been like, okay, what are the stars going to be? Then we do the 5 stars, and immediately afterwards I'm like, I got Disney Plus and we haven't talked about it yet.
Ooh, well remember that for next week.
I probably won't, but we'll see. Anyway,
Baby Yoda, he's got a lot of heat.
Baby Yoda's very big right now.
Baby Yoda's huge right now. Seeing that little guy everywhere.
Oh, such a good little guy.
Now wait, just real quickly. I assume you're watching this show, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so does this take place like way in the past? Is it actually Baby Yoda?
No, it is not actually Yoda.
Oh, okay. It is a Yoda, it is not Yoda.
Exactly.
Got it. So anyways...
So
we go from there to the Barbarian Saloon. I was really waiting for you to interrupt again with a new story. Anyway, so we go from there to the BB Saloon. And we are, I'm so excited. We're about to get a new name. They're committing to this joke every week. It's going to be a new name. Everybody's sort of like, well, 2 weeks ago we were the Health Bozoke, and then last week we're the Devil Bozoke. So, like, come on, man. Like, are we going to be a new thing this week? What's going on? And so Moda pulls the guy over, just like, hey, come here. Why don't you shut up? Why don't you shut your stupid mouth? Giving us new names is really helping the president out. It's really like bolstering his spirit.
Right, like we keep losing no matter what we're called. It's not helping us, but it's helping him, and he needs it right now, so just be cool.
Yeah. So they pull the sign down, and the new spot is blank. It's nothing. And they all go over President Kaido. He's like, I just couldn't come up with anything this week, guys. It's like, I got stumped. I got nothing for you.
He had 2 weeks of ideas and now nothing. Maybe he'll be back with a new one next week.
Well, here's the problem, is they've already committed to being both healthy and stupid. And so, like, if your first commitment is like, we're just going to be dumb as a box of rocks, then I feel like coming up with new names after that is going to make it be a lot harder if you're trying to stay in that oeuvre.
Right. So they're sitting there, and Sonnet's like, listen, I don't care about any of this stupid name stuff. I'm hungry. What are we going to do about that? That's the real issue.
Yes.
And so Dynamo says, like, okay, we'll send somebody down to Earth to get some bento boxes.
Yes. It's not true. I did 100% assume that this week's monster was going to be the Bozoke's #1 bento lover.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's in my notes. So we go from there back to Earth, and we see Kyosuke. He's on his way to wherever it is he's going to get bento, and he sees Koban Base.
Koban Base, we haven't talked about it in a few weeks, if you've forgotten. That was like the little like policeman's like stand shelter thing that Signalman used to spend time in back when he was on Earth. So
Koban Base, despite the fact that it is in the middle of the open and is real big, to indicate that a lot of time has passed, it has been covered with Halloween prop spider webs.
I was going to say, it's not just spider webs. It is Party City, like, ooh, you're in a graveyard spider webs. Right. And standing in front of this becobwebbed Koban Base is young Ichitaru.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to follow the logic of like, well, we've got to make sure it looks old. But instead of like digging it up, what if in the world of Carranger, there were also just like a million spiders, just like a million spiders everywhere, or one giant spider, and that's how we told everybody that it was old. Okay. Speaking of things being covered in spider webs, have you ever seen pictures, Matt, of, I'm fairly sure it's Australia, during what I think is called spider season?
Dave, if I ever see a picture that's starting to load up on my computer, and the caption on that picture says anything about a spider system or season, I close that tab and walk away and take a nice, long, hot shower. I'm just imagining the prop guys standing around like, okay, how do we make this look old? Well, we can make it look broken down, but then we have to actually break it, and we might want to use it again. Like, okay, well, what about dust? Dust is good. I like where your head's at, but this is outside.
Hard doesn't necessarily read on camera.
Hard to read, easy to blow away. So, I mean, the cobwebs is kind of the. I mean, I feel a little crazy saying this. Kind of their best option.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, you're working with fairly limited stuff. It does work. By the way, just looked it up. It definitely is called Spider Season. And one of the captions said, that's not snow, it's just Spider Season in Australia.
Well,
so that gives you any clue.
Thanks for that, Dave. Thanks.
For sure.
Thanks for sharing that wonderful news.
So anyways, Kyosuke looks over at this, and he says, what? He's like, man, I wonder how Signalman is doing. Like, I hope he won his three-legged race with his Signal son. Like, what a fine fellow. I dig him. Also, oh no, I'm comically hungry.
Yeah, so like he pieces out of there to go get his bento boxes.
Yeah.
He arrives at like a food truck, essentially, that has all these prepackaged
well, not how you
boxes.
would think of it. It's just a truck with food in it.
Right. It's like a big like panel van that a guy has loaded up with bento boxes and has like pulled out of the back of the van and stacked up on a folding table outside the van.
Yeah. So he goes up and he starts ordering. If you were curious, Matt, what Kyosuke changes his order to, this is really just a note from Matt. Makuno-ichi, I looked it up, sort of like a sampler platter.
Oh, right on. I love a sampler.
Yeah.
So
anyways,
as he is placing his order, a Bozok appears, drives down, because of course he's also coming from bento boxes, and there's only one place possible. This one van.
He's the only dude. This guy's name is BB Goon.
GG Boone.
GG Boone. I'm going to stick with BB Goon.
Well, you go right ahead, but...
No, so it's GG Boone, and he comes down, and he is not... Oh, I'm so bummed out about this. He is not their number one bento lover.
I would have loved to have seen that monster design.
Yeah, no, he is their number one errand boy.
Yes, and he is...
Well, number one errand master,
yes.
I believe is what he says.
Well, listen, I've been an errand master before in previous jobs. Everyone else thinks of you as the errand boy. You are the one who is putting master on there so that you have something good on your resume. Like, I guarantee you that President Dynamo was not like, let us send our finest errand master.
Man, I don't know. President Dynamo is prone to... Let me put it this way. I think if anybody that I've ever seen on a television show was going to refer to someone as the number one errand master, it would be President Dynamo.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong there, Dave.
So anyways, GG Boone, like, rolls up, and he sort of, like, elbows Kyosuke out of the way.
He's a coin purse man.
Yes, sorry, yeah, he's a big, weird coin purse man. It's actually kind of a cool costume, and it's so much better than last week's monster that I dig it. So, GG Boone sort of, like, elbows Kyosuke out of the way, and he starts ordering, and Kyosuke is like, hey, my dude, it is rude to interrupt.
Right, like, he's not upset that he's a Bozok and, like, concerned that the Bozok are here to attack. He's just mad that this dude cut him in line.
Yes, which is not, and so he basically starts a fight with this dude, which is not. Did you hear about the Popeyes, Matt? The Popeyes line cutter? Did I tell you about this?
I don't recall.
Dude cut in line for a Popeyes chicken sandwich and got stabbed to death.
Well, Dave, man, you know I don't approve of cutting in line. That seems wrong. That seems harsh, my dude.
Yeah, so he starts a fight about it. Like, he just attacks this dude. He gets in one or two shots, and then Gigi Boone turns around and kind of lays waste to Kyosuke.
Right,
because he's so hungry.
Kyosuke is so hungry. He doesn't have any gas in the punch energy tank. You know, like, he's trying to punch good, but there's just nothing fueling the punches.
So Gigi Boone is trying to continue the fight, and Kyosuke pulls a timeout. He's like, whoa, timeout. No punching. I call it timeout.
So,
which Gigi Boone respects.
You gotta respect the timeout,
which I love.
So he respects the timeout. Kyosuke ducks behind a wall to Henshin, and he's like can barely get up the strength to Henshin, and so hungry is he. As he comes back, Gigi Boone has finished ordering lunch, has gotten the bento boxes, is receiving change for the transaction. And I'm like, this dude is not a villain. He came down, someone started a fight with him, and then when he put the order in, like he cut in line, sure, that's villainous.
Naturally.
But then when he didn't steal the bento boxes, he's getting change, which means that he gave the dude money. But his villainy is so much more subtle, Dave.
Yeah, that is the weird thing about Bozoke. Because I feel like you very much get the idea that this is like it's a bike club, and the dudes at the top are very much on mission, and the dudes at the bottom are super variable as to how much they actually care about blowing up the Ursh.
So here is the evil villainy of Gigi Boone, and here is why he is a human coin purse. He's like, I got 780 yen back in change. The boss will never notice if I only give him 560 yen. I'm just gonna keep a little bit of it, and then save up some money, and then eventually I'll have money.
So this dude skims like 250 off the top to put in his like body. Because he's a coin purse. I would have said. Well, it's weird because he is a coin purse, but he also definitely is wearing a coin purse.
It's a whole theme.
So, anyways, Red runs out and he's just like, "All right, like let's do this, jerk." And Gigi Boone says like 2 seconds, like turns around, puts the bento boxes back in his car so he doesn't spill them, and then commences to fight.
Yeah, and so they're starting to have a fight. The fight's going back and forth. Like, I definitely get the impression that this would not be a super tough fight for Kyosuke if he was fully fed. But he's not.
He's just so hungry.
And so he can't get it together to beat this dude.
Like, he even mentions, he's like, man, I even turned into Red Racer, and even as Red Racer, I'm so hungry that I cannot beat this punk. But he's saved, Matt. Well, he seems like he's going to be saved. Because who should arrive but Signalman? What?
Signalman, he's back. And he's driving into the fight. He's riding his bike towards Red Racer. He's continuing to ride his bike towards Red Racer. And Red Racer doesn't move because he assumes that Signalman would never possibly run him over with his bike. And then, like you did to me in a playground when we were children, he got run over by that bike.
Did I run you over with a bike when we were kids?
You ran over my foot. I thought you were going to move.
Maybe I thought you were going to move.
Clearly you did.
So anyways, he definitely runs over Red Racer. And the Red Racer is like, whoa, my man. Like, Signalman, what is going on? And then we see Signalman's chest, and his 3 signal light, like chest lights, are painted over black.
Yes.
And I didn't notice this at first, but he has evil shades over his regular head shades.
Well, how else would you know that he's evil now, Dave?
Yeah, so he's now an evil Signalman. And he says, like, how could you? To Red Razor, and Red Razor has no idea what he's talking about. And then the bento guy runs over, and he's like, hey, guys, could you go someplace else? This is killing sales.
Right.
Like, I'm dying over here.
You've got to get out of here. No one wants to buy bento boxes when you two are shooting each other with lasers.
And Signalman just like, yeah, whatever, civilian, and goes to shoot him. Or he starts to. Red Razor's just like, you cannot just shoot this guy. And Signalman's like, I've got a gun right here that definitely says I can.
So he goes to shoot the bento box dude, and Red Racer just jumps in the way of the laser. Because, he hasn't been turned evil by something. And Signalman's like, okay, good on you for doing that, but I am still going to kill you.
Yeah.
So they
Red Racer,
do find a new location.
Yeah, good point. So he's still in his heart, I think, is a good guy. And so Red Racer just asks, he's like, what is going on? And Signalman says, place your hands over your heart and you'll know. And so Red Racer does that. And he's just like, trying it. It's definitely not working. I still have no idea why you are upset.
So they fight another minute, and Red Racer knows, like, this is not going well for him. So he pulls a move that I've never seen them do before. He pulls out the gun. Well, maybe I've seen him do something like this. Do you remember when they made their, like, GPS navigational unit?
Yeah, I was not sure what was up with this move.
And then they, like, plugged it into a gun, and then they could use the GPS to, like, redirect the shot of the laser so it could, like, find an invisible target, I think it was. Was that what happened?
Yeah, it's something like that. I honestly don't remember. But anyways, he does the Navic shot, and it's like a binder shot. It sort of like shoots energy and it wraps around Signalman. But it doesn't actually work for very
right.
long.
It doesn't work for long, but it works for just long enough that Red Racer is able to escape.
Yeah.
He goes back to Pegasus base. Everyone is still hungry and waiting for him. He shows up and just collapses, like, bloody, which is weird because I think this is, like, the first time we've ever seen negative consequences of one of them losing a fight. Like, I don't remember it struck me that he was injured.
Yeah, it was kind of unusual. So he's like, oh my gosh, guys, I couldn't get the bento, and then he falls over. We go from there to the BB Saloon. Zot is still hungry, because of course, no bento boxes yet. And Gigi Boone rolls up, and he's like, guys, he's like, first of all, I did not get the bento. Sorry about that.
No, he's calling from a phone booth back on Earth.
Oh, that's right. And he calls, and he's like, forget about the bento. You guys are not going to believe this. Evil Signalman. I'm going to stick around and see what's up.
You love to see it. There he is. Super evil. We're going to make this work.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Pegasus. Kyosuke is having his wounds treated, and he's telling them what happened. And, like, no one really believes him, because they're like, no, like, if it was Signalman's cool. Like, this is not...
Yeah, like, there's no possible way that you either got this right or something. We cut from there to Signalman very definitely being evil, actually.
Super evil. Upsettingly evil.
Yeah, so he is using his bike. He's riding around on what's the bike called again?
Oh, I forget what the bike is called.
Patrol Racer or something like that. So anyways, he's riding around, but he is using this bike to, like, menace a crowd of children that Ichitaru, and specifically I think is calling out Ichitaru, being like, basically like, I'm gonna hurt you, and this is bait, right? He's menacing these children in order to get the Carrangers to
he's telling them, like, go call your best friends the Carrangers, they'll come save you. I am going to continue to menace these children. So Ichitaru runs off, gets to Pegasus space, and tells them about it. And they're like, oh, well, I guess Kyosuke was not actually lying to us. We should go deal with this.
Yeah, so they all show up, and he's still menacing these children. And but, it definitely works. Like, the Rangers show up, and they're trying to talk to him. Like, particularly Kyosuke, like, trying to reason with Signalman. And he just keeps talking about Sigtaru, his son.
Oh, Dave, real quick. Not really relevant, but it was a great moment. When they show up, Signalman is, like, riding in circles around these children. he stops riding, not on purpose, but because Kyosuke, like, takes his sword and throws it like a spear, and it jams into the spokes of the bike.
Oh, sick! I must have been looking at I must have been writing something down when that happened. That's great. Really cool. So, they're trying to reason with him, like, what's going on? And he's like, you will never understand the suffering of Sigtaru. And he keeps insisting, like, clearly, like, Sigtaru's son is sick. He blames the Rangers for some reason, and also clearly thinks that they know already what they have done.
Right. So we cut to this, like, flashback of Signalman on Planet Police. And he's like, I was so looking forward to coming home and reuniting with my family and having the three-legged race at the sports day. But it was all ruined because of you. And we see that there's this, like, 5 colors of glowing smog in the sky above Planet Police. And they are the colors of the Carrangers. And what has happened is that this smog has caused the children to get sick, including Sigtaro. And because all the children are sick, not only is there the tragedy that the children are sick, Dave, it's even worse. They had to cancel the sports day. There was no three-legged race. The three-legged race he was so looking forward to with his son, and now his son is ill. And so Signalman is like, really, we see him being upset about this in the flashback. And then we see, like, he breathes in some of the smog. And as he does, he kind of transforms into the form that we see him in now, where, like, the lights are blacked out, and he's wearing, like, evil shades, and there's a couple, like, black parts on him that used to be colored.
Yeah.
So and this is not just, like, he got mad and, like, painted himself black to come down here and beat people up.
Right, like, something is happening here, and the Rangers are like, dude, this is very obviously a trap. Like, this wasn't us, like, we did not do this, we have no idea.
Our vehicles are emissions free.
Right, I really about that, our vehicles are emissions free. And they're like, listen, man, someone is trying to get you to fight us because they know that, like, you know, they don't say this because, like, we're allies, and if we're fighting each other, then we're not fighting the bad guys. Like, come on, man, like, you gotta do this. Gigi Boone now gets back in the fight. They fight for a second, and then the Rangers just call their new, I forget what it's called. It's the new Giga Formula.
Giga Booster.
Giga Booster, thank you. So they summon Giga Booster, it's booster cannon, and while they're sort of charging up to do this, Zelmoda sort of he sidles. I would say it's a sidle, is really what it is. He sidles over to Signalman. He's just like, hey, my dude, like let's you and I talk. Like, why don't you come over here with me?
We've clearly got a lot in common.
Right. In that we both want to kill the Carrangers. Like, let's pop over here. They Giga Blaster, what's his nuts, and then he eats some Imo Yokan, and he gets real big.
That does not go well for him for very long, though.
Yeah, no, he does a pocket change attack where he throws some coins at them, and that's fun. And he gets it like 2 or 3 shots, which is more than some people can say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fight lasts a shorter amount of time than the amount of time it took them to summon Vic Trailer and transform into VRV Robo.
Yeah, they kind of milked that one. They didn't have a super full episode this week.
Well, so, I mean, I think that they had... Well, okay, they milked that a bit. I kind of feel like... I don't know. I thought it was very funny how long that took and how short the fight was. And I couldn't tell if that was a joke on purpose or just, like, incidentally funny.
Man, that would be a pretty meta joke.
Yeah, but some of the jokes in this season are pretty meta.
Okay, listen, you know what? I think let's give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that joke was on purpose. So from there, we're in Barbarian Saloon. Zanette is still hungry because, of course, the dude they sent to get her bento box has been just so exploded. And so she says, fine, President Dynamo, I will just eat you. And so she grabs Salt and Pepper from behind the bar and shakes them on his face and then just starts like biting his head.
Yes. It's like in a cartoon when a person gets so hungry that they see all of their friends turn into like pieces of ham and like a whole turkey. Except that never happens. She just starts biting on the head of this hideous monster man.
Yeah. So Zelmoda rolls in and he's like, hey, guess who's with me? Enter Signalman. Brief interlude for Ichitaru. Ichitaru is down at Koban base. He's got a piece of chalk and he has written on the side of the base, so we're sort of watching him write it, Signalman, I hate you very much. Which is a real bummer.
Yes. They were so close.
They were so close, and Kyosuke sees this and he's like, what is going on with Signalman? Like, this is crazy.
We come back to Barbarian.
Back to Barbarian.
And they are having, like, they're all shaking hands. Zanette is, like, shaking up some cocktails for them. They have clearly, like, come into a partnership. And then the camera pans out.
Like, way, way, way out.
Like, out from Barbarian into space. And we hear laughter.
What? What's going on?
Who could this be? We've already accounted for everyone in the episode. Is it
Quick answer
is it Instructor Richie Hiker? No.
It is
no,
not.
He's dead.
That dude's dead. Answer. Who is it? We have no idea.
No, there's this giant golden-faced man with like this
like
big
a sort of phantasm
robot.
of him.
Yeah, like superimposed over space, sort of like superimposed over space in such a way that it looks like he's holding Barbarian in one of his hands. And he's like, yes. Now this is perfect. Signalman is working with the Bozoak. All my plans are coming to fruition. He starts laughing. End of episode.
Boom.
It's so good. Like, we get a full episode of one thing, and then the last 10 seconds, it just becomes a completely different thing. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he has done. I've kind of been assuming the whole time that President Dynamo is the final boss of this season.
Me too, since we had Richie Hiker, but apparently he isn't.
Right. Or this is another fake out, but it's late enough in the season that it doesn't feel like a fake out.
No, I don't think it will be. I think this is going to be whoever this dude is. This dude is the new hotness.
Anyway, I am very excited. Looking forward to seeing what that is. But that's it for this episode of Carranger Day. But of course, it is not it for our episode of Licensed to Carranger, because first we need to determine where GG Boone lands in the Creature Royale.
Well, man, I feel like we have an ideal starting spot in the form of Purse Monk.
Sure.
Who is himself also a coin purse man.
Right. That's the other coin purse monster. That's the nice thing about having this list for so long, is that, like, you've always got a pretty good starting point.
So, okay, so here's the deal. Purse Monk, right, Purse Monk is from Die Ranger.
He's from like episode 3 of Die Ranger.
Yeah, he's been on this list forever, and he would take the form of a human basketball player who super loves basketball and is very tall and had real sick dunks.
Yes.
And then he would turn into a coin purse man, and he would throw like Buddha head masks dunk Buddha head masks onto people, and that would like mind control them, which he would then was going to use them for some sort of evil sacrifice.
Yeah, it was an evil sacrifice. It was sort of like the coming out party for the villains in that show.
Oh yeah.
Like they were going to have a feast. So Zydos was there. It was going to be great.
So first blush, I would say I like GG Boone. I do not like him as much as Purse Monk.
No, GG Boone is a crummy monster, but I think that he's a crummy monster on purpose.
But he's a very good errand runner.
Right, he is not designed to capture people and put weird masks on their head and prepare them for the evil ceremony. He's here for bento boxes, right? Like, he fights a little bit, but he's just the guy who they send out for lunch. And, like, Is that a good monster? No. But is it a fun idea for a character in a show like this? Yes.
It is.
I don't think I like him as much as Purse Monk, but I don't think he's bad.
No, he's not bad. If we go a few spots down from there, we find Kyutan, who is their number one, like, jeweler / finder of things. And I would say, as another, like, task-oriented bozoke, I like Jijibun better, both because, I don't know, I just dig him more, and also he seems like he is better at his job.
Well, he's a master of it.
Well, he actually does go and run the errands, whereas Kyutan is trying to steal, like, a suspension bridge because he thinks it looks like a necklace.
Which, when you think about it, makes him a very bad
I was going to say, he's actually very bad, precisely. Now, there's Zizi Zeri, who is a fashion designer.
Well, Dave, Zizi Zeri made a giant evil jacket that turned a giant robot evil. And then he made a small jacket that made Signalman evil, and then he made a really big jacket that made his robot evil, and he delivered them via rocket. So he's amazing.
Yeah. So I would say, I'm kind of looking down below that. If Kyutan is my floor, which I think he is, I actually think that Jijibun goes right below Zizi Zeri. Because right below Zizi Zeri is Rebuilt Breaking, and then imagine Robo Veronica. And I don't really have a whole lot of love for either of those dudes.
Right, like they had cool designs, and they were in good episodes, but like they're not characters. They're just rampaging monsters.
Yeah, so Jijibun, if we're agreed, comes in at spot number 116.
Number 116 for Jijibun. On a list, if you will recall, goes all the way down to... What are we at now? 175?
175 or something like that?
Yeah.
It's a long list.
Anyway, and then that is going to do it for another episode of Licensed to Carranger. Before we close up here, I would like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. You want to get any updates on future episodes, or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, or see the picture of the desk that I put together. We are on Twitter at Super Sentai Bros. Dave, if people would like to get in touch with you for the, you still have the playtest open on your tabletop game?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. My life has been kind of crazy right now, so I'm a little bit stalled on implementing new stuff. But if you are interested in getting in on the playtest of the Sentai role-playing game that I'm working on, you can email me at gosentaiheroes@gmail.com.
Right on. If you like the show, and we hope that you do, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is that you find the show. That would be very swell of you. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To find any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do that all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.